thing that I'm supposed to read at the beginning. One moment, please.
While I'm doing that, I'm sorry, I have to leave at 6 o'clock. I apologize for their meeting.
No problem. I'll get this super quick. It has to be. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read, because our first order of business will be to appoint a chairman or a president of our chair of this board. I will read the announcement. And I believe we do have, this is being recorded on WHCTV. And so this is an official meeting of the West Hartford Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. It is a regular meeting of this board, and the meeting will come to order now. My name is Helen Rubino Turco. I'm Director of Leisure Services and Social Services. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual March 15th meeting of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board that is being held virtually because in-person attendance of public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 7B, which permits municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Council members and some town staff are participating by WebEx, and members of the public can access this meeting by calling 1-408-418-9388, and the access code is 132-610-3782. I'm going to read that one more time. You can call 1-408-418-9388, access code 132-610-3782. Because of the virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I will cover before we begin. These are for all commission meetings, so we're not special. First, I'd like to ask you to please mute your devices when you're not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, you can raise your hand and I will call on you. If you are participating via audio only and I don't call on you and a debate is ending, you can unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. I do see that we have no callers in right now, but if they do join us, I will let them know. Second, pursuant to Executive Order 7B, all speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. And that is because if someone's on the phone, they can't see necessarily who's speaking and they might not recognize your voice. Thirdly, because of the difficulty in tallying voice counts or votes on a video conference, I will require that votes be taken by roll call. And that may not be necessary because I can see everyone, so we might be able to dispense with that. Fourth, I would like to describe how the hand raising works. I'm just looking through this because we can see everyone here. But if we get to have callers come in, then I'll have to explain that part. I will now call the roll. Greg Schimmer is absent. Tanya Lowe.
Here.
Kate Eichel.
Here.
Anna Park.
Here.
Gus Melita.
Here.
Robin Collins.
Here.
Shauna Kitzman.
Here.
Steve Garneau.
Here.
And Steve Kutcher.
Here.
Thank you. So we have almost unanimous attendance and everyone, we can now continue. So quickly, the adoption of our November 16th, 2020 meeting if people were in attendance, they can, somebody can make a motion. Otherwise, if you weren't here, you don't get to vote on this one. So do I have a motion to adopt the minutes from our November meeting?
I'll make a motion to adopt the meeting from November 16th.
Thank you, Robin. Do I have a second?
I'll
I will
second it.
second.
Who is that?
Shauna Kitzman, I second
Shauna. Great. And Kate, how do you vote?
Vote in favor of adopting.
Approve. Okay, great.
Approve.
And let's see who else was there. Tanya, were you at that meeting? Yes.
It was, yes, I approve.
And is that it? Tanya, Kate, Robin, Shauna, that was it. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So the minutes are approved. The first order of business is to appoint a chair, elected chair, and Shauna Kitzman has volunteered, as I think I put in an email. Thank you. I do want to take this opportunity to just again thank our outgoing members, and our president for the last few years has been John Mins. But I also want to thank Terry Schmidt, John Mins, Kim Evans, and Brian Clifford for their service. Each of them brought different talents, and it was a wonderful group. And I'm really looking forward to this group too, because you also bring just a bunch of different perspectives. And we'll actually ask the new folks to just say a few words about themselves. But first, we're going to elect our chair. So I would like to formally nominate Shauna Kitzman to be the chair of this. And does anyone have any objections? Seeing none, if you could just raise your hand to approve Shauna Kitzman, that would be great. I'm not a voter, but I'm going to count you, and it's unanimous. Thank you. Shauna, without further ado, I'll pass this over to you and hope that maybe Steve, and Gus and Anna can, thank you, Anna. Sorry, you're so dark. I can just say a few words about themselves. So Shauna, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Helen. And thank you for appointing me. I'm so honored. All right, so I would love to go through and especially have the new folks introduce themselves, and then our existing folks can also introduce themselves because there's a lot of new faces here. And then I have a quick question that we can all answer very briefly, and then we can get down to business. So I will start with Anna.
Hi, my name is Anna Park. I am a mom of two teenage daughters, one a freshman at UConn and one a junior at Conard. Both have been through the West Hartford school system since they were babies here. And professionally, I actually work in the field. I work in Glastonbury for their Parks and Recreation Department. And I'm really happy to be part of this group.
Awesome. Well, your last name and your line of work are very appropriate.
Right?
So we're so happy to have you, Anna.
Thanks, Shauna.
Okay, and now I'm going to go to Gus.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gus Melita. I've lived in West Hartford for about 5 years now. I have a 17-month-old who hopefully you won't hear too much throughout the meeting, but very excited to be part of this group. I work for the Connecticut Education Association, doing political work for them, and really excited for this, so thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Gus. And now I'll go to Steve K.
Thank you. My name is Steve Kutcher. Unlike the label for my WebEx here, my name is spelled with an R at the end. I misspelled my own name. My wife Kelly and I have lived in West Hartford since 1997. We have 4 kids that have been educated here. Love it in West Hartford. I'm on this committee because I'm active in the Friends of Fernridge Park, which is where I met Helen, and wanted to expand my my involvement in the community. And this is in line with my personal interests, and so I'm happy to be here. In my professional life, I work for a software company. Thank you, everyone. Nice meeting everyone.
Friends of Fern Ridge have been an awesome partner, so we're really excited to bring you into the fold. That's fantastic. Okay, and now Steve Garneau.
Yep. Not Irene Garneau, Steve Garneau. I've been a resident for about 45 years. Took advantage of a lot of that the parks have to offer. I was fortunate enough to work for Leisure Services for about 30 years part-time. I currently work at Sedgwick Middle School, and I coach Special Olympics and a couple other sports, football and lacrosse at Conard. So I'm happy to be with the board. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome. Okay, and now we'll go to Robin. I know, Robin, you can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Robin Collins. This is my second term on the board. I am part of the department currently. I did retire almost 6 years ago. I was the manager of the Elmwood Community Center for 31 and a half years, retired be 6 years ago in June, and started working with my colleague Gina Marino with the West Hartford Senior Center. So currently I am doing part-time programming for the 2 senior centers right this moment, all virtual. And so part of my role is to plan new activities and to oversee the current programs that we are offering for our senior population in town.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. Okay, Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Lowe. I have 3 boys. We've lived in West Hartford about 12 years. Very active users of all things parks and recreation. So I'm very happy to be part of this group. And this is my first term.
Thanks, Tanya. Okay, Kate.
Hi, everyone. I'm in my first term as well. I don't think I had many in-person meetings before we went virtual, though. But I also have 3 children, 10, 8, and 5, who are active park users and support all that we do to promote the use of parks and recreation in our town. And Steve, I see your wife every day when I drop my pre-K off at Charter Oak. So nice to see you here.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. And I'm Shauna Kitzman. This is my second term. I am a consultant planner in the world of transportation during the day, and I have 3 kids, also park advocates, and they are 10, 7, and 4. Yeah. Okay, so now down to business. Okay, let me pull up our agenda.
While you're pulling it up, I'll just tell you about me.
Oh, sorry, Helen. Go for it.
I've been director. I'm starting my 9th year. Don't fall off your chair, Robin. 9th year as director of Leisure Services, and I also run social services for the town. I have 3 young men that are all in their 20s now that they grew up here, and some of them participated in Steve Garneau's special needs camp program at Sedgwick Middle School and even into high school as well. They stayed working with those middle schoolers, played multiple sports, mostly soccer. And I also played soccer and started Field of Dreams, which is a community foundation that's raised about $1 million to promote and build soccer fields in West Hartford. We raised like 600 or 700 and got some in-kind donations and town support as well. So built 5 fields where there were none. It recently ceased to operate because we felt that our mission was done. And so the remaining funds have been donated to the town to finish up some of our construction projects that, especially at Whiting Lane, the lower soccer field at Whiting Lane. So that is my story. Thank you. Go back to you, Shauna.
Thanks, Helen. I'm so sorry. Okay, so for old business, we looks like we need to do the staff report for the CIP update.
Yes. So very quickly, the only change that has happened since we've been talking, there's two changes. One is the McGovern Pond is the pond that's at Spicebush Swamp. So West Hartford has 5 major parks, and it has some smaller parks that we kind of call pocket parks. And Spicebush Swamp, if you say that 5 times fast, you'll get a prize, is on Mountain Road. And we recently dredged the pond because it hadn't been done and it needed to be done. It was probably 15 years or 20 years overdue. And it was starting to fill up, and we were concerned that we were going to lose the pond if we didn't do something. And we also wanted to preserve the freshwater habitat. It is a man-made pond, but it has existed for about 40 years. I can't really count that high. And so the dredging part has been complete. We did it, fortunately, when it was super cold out, which was the best time to do it. There was 1 dead fish, and there was 1 turtle that was rescued and went back into the water. So what we wanted to do was not disturb a lot of things, and we succeeded. That was super, super helpful. Now the site restoration is underway. So we dredged, I think, 1,300 cubic yards of stuff, mostly sand and things and trash that had come from from upstream. And we moved it protected in an area in an upper meadow where it has drained and now will be leveled out or with a crown. And then we're going to seed it with grass and wildflower mix. So it'll be a meadow again. That should happen probably by early April. So they just needed to wait until the ground unfroze, which might be the end of this week.
Helen, what was the pond called?
It is called McGovern Pond. And there's trails in the back that'll get cleaned up. Last year, as you might recall, this site was designated as a trout park because it is stocked with donated by the DEEP, by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. So they will come and stock the pond in April sometime. We just have to time it with when the site restoration is done. But it is not the location of our fishing derby that's held at Fern Park at the pond there, and probably will be for a couple more years until we can make an assessment about if we want to switch back, because people do like the Fern location because it's very easy to see everyone and everyone feels safe. The other item is that we are planning to go out to bid fairly soon for the reclamation, the renovation of the western parking lot at Walcott Park. So this is the part of Walcott Park that is closer to Chatfield. As you know, Walcott Park is undergoing a modest restoration that is being implemented over time. This is a site where, for those of you who may not know, we did a park planning for this park that involved assessing what we already had, and then going out to the community, doing a whole lot of community meetings about what people wanted to see in the park. And then we developed a plan or a concept, really, with Peter Minuti from the University of Connecticut. He is a professor of landscape architecture and community planning at University of Connecticut. And his graduate student used us as a teaching opportunity. And so she wrote her thesis about the community outreach that we did. And then the next 2 steps is you get that plan together, you prioritize it, and then you implement it over time. And that 5th part is very important part of park planning. We can't do it overnight, and managing the community's expectations is an important part of park planning. So Already, we have renovated the tennis courts, which are now tennis and pickleball, and the basketball courts with post-tension concrete. We have also already completed the lighting upgrades that were needed to the lighting infrastructure in the park. And that will also include new light poles in the parking lot. But the lighting has been upgraded on all the walking paths. This is our only lit park. So from that standpoint, this is an unusual part of the mix, is the lighting infrastructure. We've also upgraded the community gardens, which are on the southeast side of the park, closer to where Walcott School is. And so this parking lot is definitely an important component. When we're finished with the western parking lot, we will turn to the eastern side, which is where the restrooms are, the splash pad, and the playground and parking lot. So that whole area needs to be redone, and we plan to tear the building down and build a new one, and upgrade the other amenities, and then address the eastern parking lot. So again, right now we're, I guess, in part three or four on our list of ticking things off, and we'll do the western parking lot. So those are the two projects that are either just finished or in the midst and about to start. We have completed the renovation of at Whiting Lane, which is another small park. People think it might be part of the school, but it's actually a park next to the school. We redid the tennis courts there with post-tension concrete tennis, so they'll be painted this spring and be ready for play. And then the lower field there was paid for in combination by the town, but also with Field of Dreams money. So Field of Dreams donated, I think, $70,000 to that project. 50,000, I'd have to go back and see. And that helps us with irrigating, stripping, irrigating, and then doing all of the site work. And then we sodded that project so that it could be used quicker. It also has a small track around it, which is very popular with the neighborhood, and that was also restored. Projects that we have coming up this spring, besides the Walcott Park, but this is on school grounds, is the baseball field at King Philip Middle School is going to be redone. So that's being done with Public Works is overseeing it, but we're putting it out to bid. So that will be done this spring. I'm not really involved, but we're involved because it's funds that we have set aside. So it's part of my capital improvement budget.
Helen, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Is that your dog barking?
Yeah,
It
can
is
you
not.
hear the dog? Okay, I'm looking for my mute.
There you go, Robin.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you.
I don't have a dog in my office.
Okay,
And I don't
wasn't
have a
sure.
dog at home.
Okay, carry on.
Thank you. The last little item that I'm going to mention is something that is in Matt Hart's capital improvement budget. And it is something that we are putting forward, and that is it has been suggested that what our town needs is Spanlap Volleyball. And so we are looking at a location at Eisenhower Park for Spanlap Volleyball. And that will be submitted to it has been submitted to the Plan and Zoning Board for acceptance in April, and they will hear it in May. So there will be some public opportunity to do some public outreach. And so if we'll certainly let you know when that is, so that you can attend that meeting and speak or consider that project.
Thanks.
It would be really nice to have. And so we do need to fence it because otherwise I'll be very popular with the neighborhood cats. Which it's a good problem to have, I think, but not when your park improvement and maintenance budget is cut to zero. That's a problem. And that has happened. So that is the park, the CIP update. I know it was fast, and I wanted to be careful. I think, Kate, you said you had to leave early, so I wanted to try and get in as much as I could there. Does anyone have any questions about the capital improvement budget for our parks? Generally, we start planning that budget in the fall. We present it to the finance by the end of November, beginning of December. And then the town manager crunches it and says, you can't possibly have all of this money, and throws out a bunch of things. And then, but we try and do it in like in chunks. So it's years 1, 2, and 3, and then it's years 4, 5, and 6 are together. And then there's 7 to 12. So it's a long-term plan. So when I start to say things like, well, we're going to need to redo Eisenhower Pool, we put it in, at some point in the distance, and then it moves up, and then we keep moving it. But at least it's on the radar screen, and that way we can, plan for things. I also try as best I can to incorporate funding from nonprofit organizations, partners in our community, as well as grants from the state. Like a lot of the work that we're doing, 3/4 of the work that we're doing at Walcott Park is being funded by a state grant, which is wonderful. And some of it was with town funds, and some of it will be with, if it's a handicapped accessible project, I can also bring in community development block grant funds. We get CDBG money, so sometimes I can use that. So we just try and piece it together to make it work. Any questions about CIP? Then very quickly, I'll just talk about the park planning. We continue to plan a renovation of Kennedy Park, similar to what we did at Fernridge Park with Peter Minuti, similar to what we did at Walcott Park with Peter Minuti. Unfortunately, he's no longer available. He's just too busy doing some big project about sea level rise on the coastline. And so we will have to go out to bid for a company to lead us through that. So instead of costing next to nothing, like $5,000, it'll probably cost $25,000 or more. But it's important to make sure that it's done right. Now that I've got a few under my belt, I feel pretty confident about what we're looking for and what the process entails. And some of you were involved with the Walcott Park planning, which was a wonderful experience. And Anna, you may have done this, where you are in Glastonbury, but it really is a wonderful opportunity to engage with our community and to build stewardship with the people that live around a local park, really care about what goes in there. And it's just really nice to see people getting involved with their local park. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I will keep you posted on the timing of that. And the other things that continue to be ongoing are the 10-minute walk initiatives. So this is something that we got our mayor to sign on to 3 years ago. It's an initiative of 3 organizations: the National Recreation and Parks Association, the NRPA, the Trust for Public Land, and the Urban Land Institute. And the Urban Land Institute, the Urban Land Institute. The premise is that everyone deserves to live. Thanks, Kate. Sorry, we'll miss you for the rest of the meeting. The initiative, basically, the premise is that everyone who lives in a suburban or urban neighborhood deserves to live a 10-minute walk from a public park or playground. And West Hartford is at about 80%. We do consider playgrounds at schools as a park, because after school is out, people can go there and play, and it's open space. And so that does help. Another thing that will help us in the future is the building of the expansion of the Trout Brook Trail, which is a linear park, and that will also reach some neighborhoods that aren't very close to other parks or schools. And so what we're trying to do is do a project every year that just encourages and promotes the 10-minute walk initiative. So our second year in, we did tree planting. We planted 10 trees in 10 parks. And last year, our goal was to plant 10 pollinator gardens in 10 parks, but I think we only got to 2. And then COVID hit, and I think that we're still trying to get one of those 2 in the ground. But we've definitely picked locations, and one of them is being done by an Eagle Scout and being funded by the Garden Club and a grant that Friends of Fern Ridge Park secured. So again, working with different groups to increase people's interest and engagement in our public parks. I think COVID really taught us a lot about how much people value their local park. And that in and of itself was really rewarding last year, with camps being canceled and a lot of our camps being canceled and that kind of thing. It was really great to see our pop-up tents in the parks. We had 2 of our 4 pools were finally able to be opened. But I just saw lots of people, and you probably did too, walking to their local park, spending time there, exercising, meeting people in a safe way. That was really, really just, I don't know, it was pretty fulfilling to be able to be part of an organization that supports that and can help sustain the interest in a safe way. So,
well, also thank you for keeping them open and making it a place where people felt welcome. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah. So I'm sure I forgot something. I'm just going to quickly look at my notes. Yeah, they're coming up in the second part under new business. So that is good.
Okay, great. So if that's all for old business, we can roll into new business.
Yeah, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board has never written an annual report. It is not required. What is required is that we report periodically to the town council and to the mayor and to me about what's going on. So I thought with John going out, we would do a report, and I believe that was circulated. I'm not sure if everybody got it, but the new members, of course, wouldn't endorse this because you weren't with us. But basically, I would be looking for Shauna, Tanya, and Robin, and Kim, but I can ask her later to, who just left, right? Kate, I'm sorry, Kate. But John Mins did work on this with me and endorsed it. So if that means anything. But basically, it was that this board supported the initiatives that Leisure Services did to address COVID, as well as long-term programs that involve community outreach. It talks about the temporary closure of golf courses and facilities. Some facilities that remain closed, and also that we reopened them in a safe way based on what was approved by the Municipal Operations Recovery Team. So every time we wanted to open something or expand something, we went through a town mechanism that that had representation from indoor facilities, outdoor facilities, as well as the health department and the that kind of thing. So it was really, it continues to meet weekly. So some of the things that we're talking about right now, like we're going to tweak some of the safety precautions that we have in place at the golf course, for example. That has to get approved by the municipal operations recovery team. And then again, what our summer camps were like at Westmore and Elma Community Center, the game on tents that we had in various parks, and the success that we had with having Cornerstone Aquatics running our two of our outdoor pools at Fern and Beachland. And we also just, this group supported us distributing the fall winter program guide electronically. It was the first time we didn't print a program guide in forever. But because everything changed so fast, we didn't see the point in printing a guide only to have it be obsolete because everything was canceled. So that was a good move because everything got canceled. I've already discussed the 10-minute walk initiative with planting pollinator gardens and trees. And also your support of our effort to increase accessibility, to support accessibility improvements to our local parks, such as the renovation of the restroom in Eisenhower Park. I did forget to mention that one. It is all done. I think we just need to do a little bit of site cleanup, but it is a fully handicapped with 2 single-use handicapped accessible restrooms, unisex restrooms, which is really a big improvement for what that park had as a standalone restroom. And that was funded by CDBG. By making these changes, West Hartford parks become available to more residents and visitors, and that is definitely the truth. And also you approved some fee changes that we had to implement to meet minimum wage increases or to simplify pricing structures. So Shauna, do you want to make a motion to approve this report?
Sure.
Did you have any changes, Robin or Tanya?
This is Tanya. I didn't have any.
It was pretty simple. I didn't
see
make
any.
it too fancy and go all out, but I just figured it was good to have a record of what we did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Okay.
it there.
A motion to approve the Parks and Rec 2020 report.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2020 report of the Park and Rec Advisory Board.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Shauna. And Tanya, do you also approve?
I also approve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Let's go into the support for ADA improvements in parks and facilities, Helen.
So every year we submit a plan to HUD that talks about how we're going to use the grant that they give us, this community development block grant. And we are currently accepting ideas from our community about ways to use it. And we do seek your input on how to use our funds, and particularly in this case, to increase handicapped accessibility. Accessibility is something that is very important to this office, and I know has been supported by the Parks and Rec Advisory Board for the last, 8 years. Sorry, I'm starting my 9th year. And something my predecessor regrets that he didn't spend as much time doing. It's fairly complicated to paperwork wise and permission wise, but I think that we understand, we know what we're doing, and it's something that really benefits our community. I remember when we put in at the Glover Soccer Complex, when we renovated the restroom, we put in handicapped accessible bathrooms, and there was a handicapped accessible walkway that went around it and a path leading to the street. But there was no handicap parking there. And so we did a curb cut, and we made a handicapped accessible pathway with 2 parking spaces. And I was working the snack bar right after the fields opened, right after that handicapped spot, those opened, and this couple was there from Simsbury, and they were there to watch their granddaughter play, and she was playing on the field that was right in front, right, that first field. And the woman came over to me, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to get a complaint about something. And she just came over and said, who was responsible for that? And I went, I was, not really sure what direction it was going to go. And she's like, we've never experienced this. This is just wonderful. My husband can come. This is the first time he's been able to like get out of the car and go see his granddaughter. I mean, couldn't say enough about it. And so, that was really nice to hear that, it is something that is really appreciated by people that may not always speak up. But I did want to request that this group support that effort in a real way, so that we can include that support with our collection of other comments that we've received. So, for example, the Citizens with Disabilities Commission always sends us some recommendations. And other groups, the Senior Citizens Advisory Commission also sends recommendations. So just wanted to reach out to this group to get that. Yes, Robin.
I just have a question about that. You mentioned that the public have an opportunity to comment on ideas that they may have. And I kind of remember years ago that at that time, Ed Sonati, I believe, might have been involved with that purpose. And there would be meetings called like to come to the community center, whatever. How do you, at this point in time, how would someone comment? Do you send out something to the newspaper? How do people know that they could speak up?
Yep. So we did send something in the newspaper. We have already had our public meeting, which was done virtually because of COVID, but we are still accepting emails or letters, and they would be sent to the person that replaced Ed Sonati in this position is now Luan Sika, Luan, and his last name is Ceka. So luan.sika@westhartfordct.gov. And we have received a couple of comments and letters, and no one came to the virtual meeting. They rarely do. But we are able to support some businesses that nonprofits, for example, that might be eligible. So we do work with and listen to everybody that is interested in seeking support.
Helen, can you just explain? I know you mentioned curb cuts and handicap accessible restrooms. What other facility improvements kind of fall under this umbrella?
Sure. So, for example, at Westmore Park, when you arrive there and you want to go to the Hunter House, there's a ramp that goes up to the front of the building. It is not ADA compliant. When it got put in, it might have been good enough at the time, but the front steps, the front stoop is also starting to crumble and it needs to be replaced. ADA doesn't allow us to replace just the front steps and not touch that. So we have to make both. We have to do both at once. But the ADA portion of our funding, the CDBG portion of our funding will only fund the ramp. It will not fund the front steps. So that's being funded by the Westmore Park Fund, and CDBG will cover the ramp. That's the kind of thing that we're doing now. When we put in the outdoor classroom, which if you haven't been to, you should really go to. It also has, it's ADA compliant, and it has a water fountain that's ADA accessible. So it's just something that we have to do in a thoughtful way. Every time we're doing something, we think about it. Certainly Kennedy Park, the next park that we do some significant work on, will be to improve not just ADA, but also improve a park that is in a low to moderate income neighborhood. So everything we do there will be eligible. So that will be fabulous because we can redo the basketball hoops. We have to redo the irrigation system is failing there. We also want to replace the pool house with a new, ADA. Sorry, with it needs. Yeah, it's not ADA compliant. anymore. New playscapes if we can, new parking and all that kind of stuff. So those are the kinds of things that we use, that this department uses the handicapped, or uses the CDBG funds. We also use it for housing rehab. I mean, other departments use it for lots of activities.
Okay,
Food pantry, that kind of thing.
great. Do you
So
need
Shauna, would
feedback
you?
at this time, or is
Yeah, I
this-
would just like to get an idea, and Shauna, then you can just write a letter of support, or I can certainly assist you with that. But I just would like to take a roll call to make sure that or I don't think we need to, because Tanya's, yeah, we'll need to do a roll call to support that that request.
Okay. Shauna Kitzman, I'm in favor.
Helen, this
Um,
is Tanya. I just have a quick question. Would you want us each to write an individual letter, or is this a letter from the advisory board as a collective?
Yeah, this is from the group as a collective.
I support it. Robin Collins.
And this is Tanya Lowe again. I support it as well.
And I saw Steve Garneau raise
Steve
his hand.
Garneau.
Gus is in favor, Steve Kutcher, and Anna.
Yes,
She
I
has her
support it.
hand up, so it was unanimous. Thank you. Is there anything else about ADA improvements or improvements that aren't ADA but might be in parks that could be used for CDBG? As I said, we are planning to do a lot of magic in Kennedy Park coming soon. So I'm hoping that everyone here will be involved with that.
Thanks, Helen. Can you remind me when you would like the draft letter?
I think it's by the 26th of March.
Okay.
So I think we have a little bit of time.
I work better under deadline, so tell me it's
Okay, I need it by Friday.
Okay.
I'm the same way. Oh God, no, the truth's really coming out.
Can I ask one question about Kennedy Park?
Sure.
Just what's the timeline for that, or what's the planned timeline for that?
That's a great question. The first thing that I need to do is make sure that the town manager is still on board with the timeline of the implementation of all of the things going down the road. And I also need to make sure that HUD is willing to fund some of the projects that we want to do there. But the whole thing really starts with doing the community outreach. So the first thing I need to do is hire the company. And typically, if it's under a certain dollar amount, I can just get 3 bids and I can pick which one, seems to have the best grasp of what we're trying to do. So this is kind of like something that a group like Mylone and McBroom would do, or they're now owned by SLR, somebody like that, who is landscape architect, engineering companies, park designers, that kind of thing. So there's a few out there, and I usually, I'll either put it out to bid or I'll get 3 quotes. So since I'm not sure how much it'll cost, I might just put it out to bid and see what we get. And then what they will do with us is an assessment of what we've got. And that's a really interesting process because, we might say, well, we have a great soccer field, we have a baseball field, we have a pool, those are all going to stay. We have basketball courts, those are going to stay. And so what we did in the past was, there was this whole list of assessments of amenities, and you could move them around if you wanted. The only thing that we couldn't move at Walcott was soccer field is staying where it is, and the baseball field is staying where it is, but the tennis courts are staying where they are, but everything else you can move. Like if you want to move the pool house to another, well, there's no pool house, the restroom somewhere, if you want to, like the parking lots were up for grabs. And really, people really liked kind of like the spine of this major pathway going through. So those are the kinds of conversations that we'll have. Steve is here from the Friends of Fernridge Park. They went through this the same with Peter Minuti from UConn about 8 years ago, and 8 or 9 years ago, and they came up with a design that had a circular walkway, a promenade around the pool house. And slowly over time that has been implemented. So 3/4 of that promenade is done. And there's still 1/4 that isn't done, but it's like the paved driveway that comes in. But they're implementing very thoughtful additions, tree plantings, benches, installations, all of which are being done by donations. So all of those other improvements are not, they're coming from the community, which is really nice.
Helen, can I chime in for a sec?
Sure.
When it comes time to looking for stakeholders and people from the community, I think Sal Jimenez would be a great resource because he knows the first, second, third, fourth generation families who've been coming and in that park and using it on a regular basis.
Is he still around?
Yes and no. So I can reach out to him when it's time. At least he can do it virtually if he's not available. But I'm sure he would want to have some input if he's asked.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'd love to have Sal involved. He's awesome.
Steve, can you repeat his last name?
Sal Jimenez, Jimenez.
CEL is
And Sal is his nickname. It's Salicendro, CELE. Sal's fine.
Put it down as Sal. So he's a community stakeholder. I take
So
it.
he's a
firefighter.
Yeah, he's currently a firefighter may have retired, but he had worked in that park specifically as a park liaison, security, everything type person. So he,
Cool.
he's kind of the mayor of Kennedy Park.
Got it.
So one of the things that when we are talking about park planning and just in general engaging with our parks, Steve, do you want to just say a few words about Friends of Fernridge Park and our plans to evolve that organization into a larger Friends of West Hartford Parks?
Sure, happy to. This is Steve Kutcher, and as Helen was saying, I'm involved in the Friends of Fernridge Park, and if you don't know, it was created roughly a decade ago by a group of neighbors to the park and was meant as a grassroots organization of folks who had a shared sense of stewardship and interest in the park, and largely did projects around enjoyment and enrichment of the park, and then also as an offshoot, as Helen suggested, fundraising to implement things that, for various reasons didn't fit in the town's planning for capital budget or otherwise, and that were a priority for the Friends of Fern. And so what's happened over the last, I don't know, roughly, I'll call it last year, but really gaining steam in the last 3 to 6 months is to transition that group into a town-wide group that would implement similar types of organization and involvement with each park in town. So in the example that was given with Kennedy, you'd have, it's great that, someone can identify someone like Sal who would be interested in that project. But if the Friends of or the West Hartford Parks Foundation, depending on how it's named when we transition to that, we'd have a ready sort of, cadre of people who could be brought in to provide some input to the process and also to support it, right? So you'd have really a bench of people that you knew in the community would be interested in not only in the parks in general, but each individual park. If our vision is achieved, we have a really diverse group of folks who represent all kinds of different backgrounds in the community, and also interest in all of the parks, either collectively and individually.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is it just for the major parks or even the pocket parks and the linear parks?
All the parks.
Cool.
So I think the West Hartford Parks Foundation would be it's nice to have a liaison from them on this board, but obviously, the fundraising and the advocacy that they'll be doing and the outreach is sort of the action that this organization might endorse or support or even participate in, but not as a requirement of being on the board.
Great.
Yay.
So do we want to talk Celebrate West Hartford?
Sure. So as you know, Celebrate West Hartford for 2021 has been canceled, just like 2020 was canceled. But in 2020, we did have a fund run. It was a fundraising run for the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund and the Town That Cares. And a whole completely different set of people participated in that than usually run in our 5K. So it's very interesting. But this year we are planning to do socially distanced runs to raise funds for charity, but they're also doing some month-long challenges, distance challenges. Hold on, I'm seeing if I printed out that email. I thought I did. Which I can send you once they're finalized, but it includes, distance challenge. Let me just see if I can. I can't find it quickly. But they're also planning a virtual arts and crafts show. So instead of having it in person, we would put up pictures and there would be links to the different vendors. And, we will be pushing that. And I think it'll probably be over a period of weeks, not just the one weekend. And I think they're planning some other things they have up their sleeve, most of which support the 10-minute walk concept. We have Friends of Fernridge Park has always done a park-to-park walk. So that is being held in June. So that could also be kind of dovetail as being something that helps celebrate West Hartford, for example. And that may be something that we want to, that the new foundation will want to kick off this year. We've also had park-to-park bike rides in the summer that Bike West Hartford has organized. So we may try and have them do a special park-to-park bike ride, or maybe a summer-long bike rides in our parks that celebrates West Hartford all summer. So those are the kinds of things that we have planned to come up that just kind of dovetail. Some of the things we want to do are some of our initiatives, like Anna, you probably do this already, is you find something that's happening nationally, like National Trail Days or Connecticut Trail Days, and you kind of dovetail an activity that supports what they're doing, and you can contact them and they give, you sort of leverage each other to just get more people out enjoying and connecting with their parks. So those are the kinds of things we're doing. Yes.
I am working with the Connecticut Trail Census to help them launch a statewide trail manager run resource for all trails in Connecticut. And I am working closely with them, so it might be a good opportunity to dovetail, engagement or some other sort of exploration of trails in town. So we can connect on that. I think Trails Day is like June 5th.
Yeah, it's the first. Yeah, I think it is June 5th. Yeah, and we're planning the Connecticut Forest and Parks Association. Their executive director is from West Hartford, and I've been chatting with him about kind of seeing what we can do. And just like, for example, at Spice Bush Swamp, where we've just done this renovation, the trails in the back, we've done some work on them, but we just need to refresh the trail, and get a sign up. And if we can get all of that done by June 5th, that gives me a deadline, and it gives our designer a deadline to produce a map. And it sort of dovetails on it. It dovetails on itself, right? You get the stuff done faster.
We all work better under deadline. It's all good.
Great. The last thing I have for us is the leisure services spring and summer programming. We opened our registration on February 1st. It has been brisk. I don't know what you're experiencing in Glastonbury.
People are back. They're ready to go. Well, we've been programming since COVID. We
Right.
switched the online module, but yeah, it's exciting to see. And I did want to say that I got the brochure in the mail, and I was really impressed with all the offerings and how quickly you guys are turning around to be back in person.
Yeah, we did just get the guidelines were released this afternoon from the governor's office about camp sizes and pools and all that. So we're going to be combing through that for the next couple of days. But we do assume that we'll be able to hold camps, and I think they're restricting groups to 20, pods to 20, but the camp itself could be bigger. And most of our camps are outside. The only ones that are indoors are at Elma Community Center for the most part. And we can certainly have group sizes that are 20 or less in, pods in that building. So we should be good. But we are considering, this was the first time that we combined, well, not the first time, Robin, probably, but this year, we combined the spring and summer programs with the summer camp. So they're all together in one bundle. And I think our experience last fall with doing it virtually, we are planning to, we're considering moving to an all virtual format in the future and not printing the big heavy guide. And we would supplement that with some smaller, either postcards or smaller mailings, but also rely more heavily on our social media. And we do have the ability to reach our target market, which is public school and private school, the kids, through our public schools. So because we are a town organization and not a private camp, we can utilize that relationship and get our emails out to families through the e-news, through the schools, either through the PTO or through the principals. So we've had a much bigger Facebook presence and social media presence than we've had in the past. We've just shifted the responsibilities of that to Elma Community Center, to Jamie Krajewski and to Victoria Branning. And they've been doing a wonderful job. So I encourage all of you to follow Leisure Services or like Leisure Services and also our facilities. Just putting a little plug in for that.
Helen, does the town pay for any social media advertising?
We do have a small budget for social media advertising, yes.
Helen, the brochure, is it funded? I noticed there's some advertising in there, or it's just you create your own advertising in there. Is that something I worry when you say, you're considering a virtual only option for the brochure, those folks, kind of the equity and inclusion piece for those folks who maybe don't have computer access. So just putting that out there, that might be a consideration to see if there was another way to fund a printing of a brochure.
Yeah, so one of the things that we will do is print a small run. So we would print them for facilities to have, and we would print them for the libraries to have. But the idea of mailing them to each household would be, something that we would cut back on. The other option is also to mail a postcard to every household to tell them where they can go if they don't, that they're available at town hall, they're available at the public libraries, that they're available at our facilities. So we would only print about 300 instead of, 32,000 or something. Save a lot of money, which is what we're trying to do, keep taxes low. So I think that is it on the summer programming. We do have, we've completed recently a contract with our new golf professional, Andrew Kaloran is the new golf pro, and they have an adult golf camp that is already well subscribed. So we already know that golf is going to continue to be popular, which is fabulous. In addition, we are drafting a contract with Health Fitness to operate our four outdoor pools. Last year, as you know, they operated 2 of our pools, but they didn't take any money. They were free. We didn't, no money changed hands there. We paid them to do that. This year, it'll be all 4 pools, and they're planning to open one a little bit earlier and keep one open a little bit later in the season. That's something that we're always asked to do, and it's just very, very hard, but Health Fitness can pull that off for us. I believe lap swims will continue to be by appointment only. But then, the rest of the swim lessons, of course, is a component of our Funtastic camp and the Hillcrest camp. So we do offer swim lessons as part of our camp experience. And then we'll have just open swim and that kind of thing programs. So all of those are considered to be on track.
Is Cornerstone Pool open? People always ask that question. Is it by appointment?
Cornerstone continues to be by appointment only, although today's news does lift the caps that they have. So it will remain to be seen how quickly we can expand it. But there was, 1 person per lane. So we definitely had to reduce the number but people have been registering. They open registrations twice a week and people are there swimming all the time. Cornerstone is doing well. I believe that they intend to expand as soon as they're allowed to, and then they have to tell us, the Municipal Operations Recovery Team needs to approve their expansion plan to make sure that safety protocols are being met. But they, as of today anyway, they were not accepting new memberships because they just wanted to
Right.
service the ones that they had before they expanded, just to manage.
I had heard that. I knew there was something I had heard and I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that should be lifted soon. Are there any other questions? And I see no public callers have called in, so we don't need to do any of that. Our next meeting, Shauna, is scheduled for May 17th, and then May and then June.
Okay.
And it's possible that we might be able to meet in person, particularly if it's outside. So I was going to suggest that, and we can all talk about it, is that we meet like at Westmore Park, for example, in the new outdoor classroom, so that you can see it and you can just kind of get a feel for that place.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Another option is that we could meet at Kennedy Park. But the rest, we'd have to open up the restroom, and it would be a little bit skanky, I think, at this point, because it's been closed for 2 years. So I would suggest Westmore Park as a starting point.
For May?
For the May meeting.
Do you want to decide now?
I have to get approval from Doug.
Okay.
But I would say that we should meet there, and that if Doug, I don't think he has any programs going on. June, it's harder because they might be, something might be going on. So I think that May 17th is safe there, and it is a Monday.
We're offering line dancing classes this spring there on Monday afternoons,
right.
but we will be done. It's earlier, and if we can piggyback another class, we would be done by 4:30, I believe. So that shouldn't be an issue for the senior center anyways.
Very good. Thanks, Robin. All right, so let's put it at Westmore Park on May 17th.
Okay.
And we will give you an update on what, how the summer plans are coming, what's going on for Celebrate West Hartford in June. And then maybe, Steve, there might be a report about the progress of the West Hartford Parks Foundation, and maybe, what our initiative is for, what our initiatives are for the 10-minute walk campaign for the summer.
I just have one question regarding, I believe it's the Bike Coalition that did the survey. Some of us probably all got a copy of it through the internet. Yeah, that has nothing to do really with Parks and Rec. It's really more that separate organization.
Yeah, it's part of the Pedestrian and Bike Friendly Commission. That's the one that they kind of funnel up to. But I participate in that commission from time to time. So I sort of split my time with engineering goes sometimes and leisure services goes sometimes. I did want to mention that the, I don't know, Shauna, if you have that, the commission that's looking for members to be on the Sustainability, thank you.
Oh.
I think I sent that out to everybody.
Oh,
There
Sustainable
is,
CT.
That's it. So there's a task force that's called the Sustainability Task Force. They're looking for a group of residents, including youth, reflecting a diversity of voices and interests from across the community. And there is, to apply, you would send a statement of your interest, 250 to 500 words, and you send it to Essie LeBro, who is the town clerk, essie.lebro, LABRO2, at westhartfordct.gov by March 31st. I can forward you the announcement, but I would just encourage, if there's anyone that's interested, or if you know someone that's interested, that they should apply.
Great. Okay.
That was it.
One last question. The bears, who's involved with the bear project? Is that like the Art League or?
No.
No.
It
Okay.
is the magazine weha.com, I think. It is not weha, but it's the West Hartford magazine. Tom Hickey is the person to contact about that.
Okay. I think we've covered it. Are there any other questions or comments, concerns, compliments? No. Okay. Okay. Do I need to adjourn the meeting?
Yes, you do.
Okay. I move to adjourn this meeting.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'll try and keep it to 1 hour next time, but we did have a lot to cover because we haven't met in a really long time. So thank you and welcome to our new members.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Happy
Shauna,
for you.
thank you for stepping up, Shauna.
You bet.
Thanks.
Good night. Bye-bye.